Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I am the Windfish.
And I'm Gary, and today we're going to review and discuss Christiane F., which released in 1981, based on the book Christiane F., with a screenplay by Herman Weigel and directed by Edel. Ian, why don't you give us the synopsis?
The story follows a 13-year-old girl living in West Germany called Christiane, played by Natja Brunckhorst. She has decided that she wants to start hanging out at the local club and starts to grow up around people that she meets in there. But the people that go to the club have all started using heroin, and so Christiane starts to join them on their little trips. We watch as this girl spirals into addiction. Will she ever make it back out?
So this is a very true story based on the 1970s, like late 70s, heroin addiction, drug crisis in Berlin, in Germany.
Right.
And when the real life Christiane ended up, like on talk shows or on interviews, ended up collecting all of these stories that were then put into a book.
Yeah.
And when the world found out about this, they were in a bit of shock. They had no idea. The world had no idea how much of a drug epidemic problem was going on, especially with teens. And when you find out that it was 13 and 14-year-olds that are killing themselves, taking this drug, it's eye-opening. But this film seemed to have had a big reaction when it came out, in no small part thanks to David Bowie, having his music in the film, appearing in the film. It helped elevate this film's awareness, because otherwise this is a very low budget film that has no named actors in it that might not get that recognition that needs its eyes on.
Yeah, this was my first time. This was a trip. This was a spiral. This was a... How far down the rabbit hole can you go, Ian?
I'm just going to caveat as well and say now for our audience, if you are upset or easily disturbed by
drug usage
and child prostitution,
and let's just go off. I'm just going to start with what I've been kind of saying to myself since I watched this film. They needed a 13-year-old, so they decided to hire a 13-year-old.
I'm just going to say as well, I so much prefer that they did this because it adds to the authenticity. Instead of doing like the American thing and hiring a 30-year-old to play a 13-year-old.
Totally, man. But at the same time, I kind of understand it now, why the Americans have to do that. You know, why do you have a 25-year-old play a 15-year-old? I don't know. Because there are laws. There are work ethics, there are health and safety practices that you have to have in place. There are certain things you can and can't show on screen that even in 2025 now, there are going to be certain things in this film that we just cannot show on screen. Even by throwing my face on, it's just not going to get past. And that's what I think that makes this movie so amazing and has to go at least into your top 50 movies of all time that you have to see before you die kind of lists. And I'd even say that this is one of those movies where it's the top 50 controversial movies ever made kind of fucking list.
Yeah.
This has got to be on there at least somewhere, because I saw some shit in this I never thought I'd ever see. I was already prepared. Pretty good. I didn't wiki it.
Holy shit.
I know, I'm doing pretty good this year. I owe myself a badge or something. And I saw it I looked at the wiki page and I was making my notes of the production and the things, and I'm like, okay, I'm a bit blown away by some of the stories I'm hearing that happened behind the scenes. The fact that they actually had a 13-year-old girl playing this 13-year-old girl. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm pretty sure she takes heroin. And if I know anything about heroin, and I don't really know a lot, I'm not a connoisseur, but she's going to do some fucking scary ass shit to try to get hold of this heroin once the addiction really takes hold of her. Oh, it's got David Bowie in it.
Oh, that's all right then. How bad could it be? And the film does a really good job of bringing you into Christiane's world. We have the opening narration. We have some wonderful sort of city street shots.
Yes.
And she explains that that she lives with her mum, but her mum's not really got any time for her.
Yeah.
Her dad's already moved on or moved away.
She lives with her sister as well, and they have a cat.
That's right, yeah. But she's just like, but the kids don't really have much to do here. The waiting for the elevator is terrible, and you'll end up pissing in the stairwells.
Yeah.
So you're just like, oh, if you ever lived in a council place, it's kind of like that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And you just immediately get absorbed into this world that this girl, and I'd say, like, it's relatable to pretty much everybody. That at that age of 13, 14, you are not a child anymore. You know, you've stopped kind of wanting to play with your toys that you've held on to for so long. And now you're kind of looking at the adult world thinking, oh, I want to try certain things.
Yeah.
And this is where Christiane does. She goes off with her school friend, you know.
Because she's going to help her get into the club, which is for, adults.
Yeah. And you even hear it, like, she's lying to her mum that she's staying at her friend's house, and her friend's lying to her mum that she's staying at Christiane's house. You know, who's never...
Some things never change.
Yeah, who's never done that before, lied to their parents. Walking up to the person at the door and paying your ticket to get in, and them saying, like, oh, how old is she? Oh, yeah, she's 16, knowing full well that she's not. And I'm thinking, oh, my God. Like, I saw this when I was younger. You'd look at a girl going into the club thinking she shouldn't be there, but they're just letting her in. And I have to also say, the way that this was filmed and shot and everything that they used for sets and backdrop, so authentic, so raw, so real. This club itself, you don't really see, like, a lot of it, but you see what I would consider enough. You see the back area where a lot of people just hang out. You see where the dance floor is, but, rarely do you ever actually go and hang out there. You're normally just getting drinks. You've got the toilet section, where a lot of people hang out to.
Now, you'd think, obviously, this is not a set that they built. This is a real location that was an establishment.
Yeah.
And so everybody kind of went there.
Yeah.
And, and you can see, like, I love the camera work because there's lots of people passing by the camera.
Yes.
And, of course, none of these are extras. They're just people that go there.
Yeah.
And so they're not necessarily aware that a film is being made. Obviously, a lot of guerrilla filmmaking.
Yes.
Very low budget, small team. And but it is when you get into those bathroom stores, and it's the first time Christiane goes in there and sees what almost looks like a corpse,
Yeah.
in the cubicle.
Yeah, that's it. She's gone around with her friend, and she's been given some kind of drug that she doesn't know what it is, just in a bag. The guy's trying to cop a feel on her while they've been trying to watch Night of the Living Dead in the cinema, in this club. And I think that's weird, but actually a few years ago I went into a club and they were doing that. They were playing a film on a big screen over the dance floor that you could watch. So it's like I said, some things never friggin' change. But while she's in the toilet, in the stall, she sees this addict there with the needle in his arm. We do actually find out later that they're not dead.
Yeah.
We see them walking out of the club later on.
Yeah.
But she comes outside and she's had a kind of brief meet up with Detlev, played by Thomas Haustein.
They had a meet cute almost straight
They
away.
did, didn't they?
She fell for him immediately.
And this is the beautiful thing. This movie's from 1981, so they were doing meet cutes before the Americans were doing meet cutes. Maybe meet cutes were always around, with friggin' Cleopatra and all the actors back in the 50s and 60s doing their things. But in this club, in the darkness, when they have that look, it really set them up.
It did, yeah. And that it's kind of an interesting relationship because at first he's trying to cop a feel and she's not having any of it. And then he's immediately distanced himself from her.
Yeah.
Because she then sees him walking around with other girls and other things. And so she's like, I feel left out. I don't feel included. I need to do what they're doing in order to bring myself up to his awareness.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting, isn't it? It's like, he's a bad boy. And are you surprised when a bad boy does bad things?
No.
But that, funny enough, is what makes certain girls go after the bad boy, is that, because when they see him outside the club, he hands her a tissue and she's wiping her mouth because she's being sick from the effects of the drug and seeing the heroin addict. And it's not until later on when she'll go back to the club that she'll see him again. And you get the feeling that, yeah, he's kind of brushed her aside because he's still doing what he does for his life. I thought what was really interesting, though, was when Christiane goes home to her mum. You know, we see her relationship with her sister Sabine, and that's really kind of brief. The sister is moving out. She's going to live with the dad. We never see the dad.
No. That's something that this film did get a little bit wrong, or it didn't really explain, but the dad was apparently very abusive to Christiane and her sister.
Yeah.
So it was almost like good riddance to get rid of him.
Yeah.
So it was weird to see the sister then go live with the dad.
Well, I like to think, because the movie doesn't really go into their family relationship, but it does kind of, I don't know, it puts forward certain ideas that you would see flourish in other kind of stories. Like, for example, there's no dad there. We don't know why, but we know that the mum has the children. But one of the children wants to go and live with the dad. Why? Mum's not a bad person.
She is, but she's neglectful. She is so caught up because she had an affair, and that is the guy that's now in the house.
Well, this is the thing, though. That's what we're getting from the story, is that Mum's having an affair, but she's still not majorly neglectful. She doesn't notice these things. I get that. As the movie goes on, if you didn't notice your friggin' daughter was on heroin, then, oh my God, what the fuck were you doing with your life? But what I also liked is the film didn't focus that much on the mum.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, we only ever saw her when Christiane did actually go home. And after the first 25 minutes of this movie, she doesn't go home a lot.
No.
She stays out more and more and more, which, once again, feeds into the neglectful mum, because mum's not going out there to get the cops to deal with her. But
yeah. And there is some nice build-up, though, as we mentioned at the beginning. David Bowie is coming to Berlin in this story to perform. And so we also see her record collection. She ended up getting another record from this guy.
The boyfriend, Klaus, yeah.
But I do like this whole build-up to the concert. I thought it was going to be something that would come later in the film, but it actually comes really early on.
Yeah, yeah.
And they've actually filmed this in New York. And then they also added the crowd reactions from an AC/DC concert that was filmed in Berlin into the film as well. So
yeah.
I was like, you know what? And where Bowie was performing, they dressed it up a little bit so it felt like it was in Berlin still. I was like, they did a good job.
I mean, you can kind of tell from the difference of the footage that they're using for the large crowd shots to then the close-ups of Bowie. You know, that
with
they don't...
Christiane right at the front as well.
They don't fully match up. But you're involved in the music, and Bowie's there singing, and he's singing kind of to her, and she's kind of starstruck. She's also brought a friend with her, but her friend is suffering from what we will find out in a minute as withdrawal from heroin. So she uses her money after the concert is finished to help buy some, and then... she wants to kind of get with Detlev, but she notices that he's not fully giving her attention. So she goes off back to her friend who's about to start doing heroin, and she decides that this is the first time that she's going to smoke it.
Ich mach das einmal und dann ist Schluss.
Das sagen alle.
Ich habe mich da völlig unter Kontrolle.
Du, wenn du das nimmst, bist du bald so weit wie...
And, like... I was saying this to people after I watched this film for the first time. I've seen Basketball Diaries. I've seen Train Spotting. You know, I've seen Kids, which had a lot of drug usage in. But this movie kind of takes the top. Like, I love this sequence where she smoked it in the back of the car. I'm not saying ever doing heroin. Never, ever do heroin. Okay? But she smokes in the back of this car, and then the car drives off and takes her to the club. And you get that kind of... it starts off as just like a static shot of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Of the, you know, everything's zooming past. And then the car goes past. And then this kind of first person kind of maneuver as she walks down into the club. And then people are looking at the camera like, what are you doing? And then when the camera shows or reveals Christiane, her eyes are kind of all drawn back and black. And she's kind of looking all dazed. And at that point, when she sees Detlev, he kind of recognizes that in her.
Yeah, he knows the path that now she's on.
Yeah.
And so I don't know whether he's just like, well, fair game, or whether he's impressed, or whether...
Well, she'd already told him at the club, if he was to carry on doing heroin, she couldn't see him anymore.
Right.
And he kind of just brushed her off like, well, I don't care. So then that kind of spurs her on to try it, to, like you said, to be on his level, which then, I don't know, he recognizes a kindred spirit in her or something. Some kind
Pretty
of
much.
fucking...
Yeah. And so this then starts to develop through the rest of the film where Christiane is the one who has some funds and she is the one supplying her new friends with the heroin. And she's reluctant, as we said at first, but then she does smoke it. But then she starts to get frustrated that she's not feeling the high as everyone else is and wants to take it to the next step. And they're reluctant to give it to her first, so she ends up just taking it and attempting it herself.
Well, yeah, we get introduced to, what's it called, the zoo train station that they go to, and we find out through quite a nice little moment between Detlev and Christiane when they're in bed together. He prostitutes himself down there with some other people so that he can make the money so that he can buy the heroin, and he's living with his mate Axel in this apartment which is really run down, and this is what they do. And so she's coming down there, and he doesn't like her coming down to see him down there because he kind of doesn't like what he does. It's not sexual, it's just business. He doesn't go to bed with them, he just jerks them off.
It's just what he says.
Well, the whole time I'm sat there like, dude, you're gonna end up sucking some dick.
Well, he probably already is, but he is just too ashamed to admit it now.
Yeah, which made the moment with him and Christiane even more special, because there are moments where he's trying to stop her. He's like, no, I don't want you taking this, and no, I don't want you injecting this, and he kind of tries to keep her the only nice thing he has in his life. But like you said, strangely enough, from Christiane's perspective, she's just constantly pushing herself forward. She forced herself out to go to this club. She then forced herself to obviously meet these people, and then to buy the drugs, to then smoke it, and then to push herself to inject it herself. And so she's there watching them all trying to inject it, and she sees an addict come out of the cubicle, which I'm pretty certain was a real addict.
Probably was. Like I said, they filmed on location where this was actually happening. And there was a point when they were filming in the bathroom stall at Zoo Station, and they were apparently near the end of production. They were running out of money, and the director pushed a wall panel in the bathroom and found a big stash of heroin. And the producer was just like, hey, we should probably sell that and we can fund the rest of the production of the film. And it was at that point that an addict came in, angry and pissed off, realised that his stash had been disturbed, grabbed it and left. And then the director and producer were like, oh, well.
Yeah. So Christiane says to this addict, like, can you help me do this? Because it's my first time injecting. And he does. He helps her inject it. And it hits her like a fucking sledgehammer. And you thought the movie was bad up to this point. I'm not bad. Like, bad makes it sound like it's a fucking really horrible thing. It's real life. You know, you thought it was bad to see people's lives up to this point.
Yeah.
It will get worse.
Yeah. Now, it's also, I don't know what it is about the preparation for taking heroin.
Right. Okay.
Like, I mean, when this film was released in certain countries, all of the preparation scenes, which is almost about 5 minutes of the film, was removed because the classification system was like, oh, we can't be showing people how to inject fucking heroin.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, I wasn't watching this film as a tutorial. Heaven's sakes.
Yeah.
But it does actually make you feel uncomfortable just watching the
Massively.
whole preparation.
Yeah.
You know, the taping, the tapping, the needle, the spoon, the flame, all of it. It all makes me feel very uncomfortable because I know that they're about to have a euphoric experience followed by the worst, come downs and addictions and withdrawals and all the other stuff, all the horrible stuff, which for me outweighs that little high.
which, funny enough, interestingly, we have seen in other productions.
Yeah.
You know, we have, like I said, I've seen Basketball Diaries, I've seen Trainspotting, fucking watching heroin. I've never really seen heroin used or users in front of me, like, in real life. But when you watch it for a film, like Ari just said, they're going to inject themselves, feel really, really good, and then it's all just going to come crashing down. And they're going to lose their families, they're going to be stealing, they're going to be doing anything to fund this addiction. And so when the second part of this movie happen, because it's 2 hours plus. It's a long 2 hours.
It goes at breakneck pace, though. It really does.
I don't know. I'm not entirely sure, mate. There's a couple of moments where the movie kind of abruptly stops, like when they start to go through the withdrawal and they decide to clean up, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this would be a great stopping point for the movie. It doesn't. It doesn't.
This was just attempt one of going clean.
Yeah, that's it. Because the between Christiane and Detlev, they continue on with their relationship. Christiane becomes 14 and has her kind of birthday, and she dyes her hair and she gets some money. And once again, like I said, the movie shows that Mum's a bit neglectful, because all Mum really does is just leave her a cake for her to blow her candle down. She's already gone off to work wherever she is, just leaving Christiane to do whatever. Christiane has already brought in her friend Babsy as well, this young girl that she had met at the David Bowie concert, who has nowhere to live and now is kind of crashing with Christiane at her place.
I love the shot of her in the bathtub with a cigarette in one hand and the cake in the other.
Yeah, she's just loving life. But it's also that moment where she says to Christiane, oh, can you get me some H? And Christiane, who is in the throes of, heroin addiction at the moment, but believes that she still has control of it, belittles and gives Babsy grief. You shouldn't be getting addicted to that. You're not supposed to be. Do you want to, ruin your life? Blah, blah, blah. But she's now going to take her money and go off to meet up with Detlev and go and score some more heroin. And they're going to take it together because they're doing so well. But then we get the moments where they have no money, and then we get the shocking moments where they start to argue and scream at each other because, Christiane feels like she's being held back by Detlev. And Detlev is trying to hold her back because he doesn't want to get too addicted, but she's having to watch him go off with guys and do things.
So she ends up selling her own records. She starts selling her own stuff before she ends up breaking into Mum's tin of money and stuff, and starts pinching from the house to continue to fund this addiction. But it's the desperation, the stuff to sell runs out, the money runs out, and so then she is tempted when she's feeling dejected about getting in this car with someone who's tempting her or asking for her.
Yeah, well, she'd already caught up again with Babsy at another section, and Babsy
she was explaining how much money she'd made in an hour.
Yeah, she was making by having to just do things for men. And in comparison to how much money Detlev makes when he goes off with men, Christiane is going to make loads. And you get that sequence, don't you, where she goes off with this guy, she has to jerk him off in the car. It's kind of gross. Once again, the filmmaking is done so brilliantly because the camera lingers on this sequence that you're noticing certain things. Like, I noticed that the guy was wearing a wedding ring.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is a family man who's probably just finished work or on his break, and he's just done this. And how easily accessible is it for these people in this part of West Germany to go and be able to pick up drugs and prostitutes and whatever whenever they want to? And then she's then got the money to then buy the heroin to take it back to Detlev, who sees it and sees that she's got all these packets, that now he's annoyed and frustrated at her because she's telling him she didn't have sex, but he doesn't know that, and we don't know if he's been doing it as well, and that's why he doesn't believe her. It's like,
yeah,
drama.
Vicious. Yeah.
Mensch, wirklich, ich hab den neuen runtergeholt.
100 Mark fürs Runterholen, wa?
Ja, was hätte ich denn tun sollen?
So after enough is enough, it's time to get our lives back together. It's time to clean up. And this was after Christiane had been found pretty much near overdosed in her bathroom.
Yes.
Mum came back and found her, and her lover ended up dropping Christiane into the bed. But then after that, Mum's just like, whatever, she'll be fine tomorrow.
Yeah, I was a bit strange like that because Detlev turns up and he's just like, I'm going to stay here with you and we're going to go cold turkey. Yeah. And I felt like maybe Mum and Klaus were on the other side of the door, but for this
But you don't see them.
You don't see them at all. This whole cold turkey sequence, they
do it to themselves, yeah.
Yeah, but almost, they almost don't, because the whole sequence is brilliantly filmed. The color they're going through, the sweat. Like, I wondered for a moment if these actors were really on heroin, and then the director was just like, now this is the sequence where we have to make you go cold turkey, because it was just kind of gross to see them go through this. But Christiane finds her secret stash
whilst they're part way through.
Yeah, they're like, oh, well, we'll just have one snort just to take the pain away. And you know that it's not. It will take the pain away, but it will just make the pain even more worse when it comes back. But she's drunk some juice and she ends up
I think it was a bottle of wine.
Yeah, or definitely something.
But I think from behind the scenes, they used wine on the first take, but the actress really hated it. So then they replaced it with juice for the subsequent takes.
And then she ends up having to kind of vomit or spit back up all this juice, which then goes all over the mirror in which Detlev is trying to use to sort out the heroin.
I was like, man, if I'd just been vomited on, I don't think I'd be reacting so calmly like he is. But I was like, well, to be fair, they're both in the middle of going cold turkey right now. So I don't know how I would be after being vomited on all this juice wine.
That's it. I mean...
And the last of the drugs is now ruined.
And then they come out. They're kind of fine. They look
healthier.
Yeah, they're looking a bit white and a bit peachy. But give them a couple of days, they should be fine. But the first stop they do is they go down to the zoo to meet up with their friends and tell their friends about how happy and excited they are that they're clean. And their friends are like, oh, that's great. Maybe we should get clean as well. Oh, I would, but I've literally just scored some heroin.
So let's go do that first.
Yeah, if we do the heroin we do now, then we'll get clean next week.
And this is where Christiane and Declan are just like, should we? Oh, come on, I mean, we're clean now. We could just go and get one as well. Why not?
Yeah, we'll just have one. It'll be fine.
I want to scream at them.
But they end up going back to their apartment at one point as well, and this is where they come across their friend Axel has died. He's been sold something which isn't heroin, which has killed him. And this had happened at a couple of points throughout the movie. We'd seen one of her other friends had died when a newspaper had come out, and it'd been like news reports you'd heard in the background as well of this drug epidemic sweeping through. But, you know, Christiane is just absolutely oblivious to it because she's just seeking to buy that next high. And her and Detlev have separated, but she does come across him again, and he's now living with one of the gay customers that he'd had a thing with earlier on in the movie. And the guy kind of invites Christiane in to stay with them, but then he's still expecting Detlev to come and sleep in the bed with him. And so I was just like, wow, yeah, this is that point. You're like, you're at rock bottom. You're sleeping on somebody else's sofa while
your lover goes and satisfies somebody else for money.
So that you can just buy more drugs. And it's then she's woken up in the middle of the night, isn't she, by noise of Detlev and this guy having sex, and she realizes that actually, yeah, she's kind of lost him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really sad.
Yeah.
It's like the film hit the low point early on, and then it just drags you across the bottom throughout the runtime. And then that moment, you're like...
There was this other bit as well that I felt was a real fucking major rock bottom bit, was where she'd hung out just before Babsy had been found dead. Christiana's hanging out with Babsy again. They're in the train station. And they see a group of young girls walk past them. And it must be like a year since we've seen Christiane start taking drugs.
Yeah.
So she's fucking looking really bad. And she watches these girls walk past. And she turns to Babsy and she goes, they'll be us within a year. And I was like, that's a real horrific fucking thing to say.
Yeah.
But it's
probably true, yeah.
It's
because
true.
we just saw it happen throughout the course of the film.
We've just seen it through the course of the movie. And like I said, we will find later on that Christiane will see on the front of a newspaper that Babsy has been found dead.
The youngest case at the age of 14, I think, as well.
And you're just like, holy fucking shit. And
so you think, like, alarm bells, time to get clean, time to get away from this. But no. Let's double down. Let's go get some more heroin. Let's absolutely drag ourselves through the streets. Let's push other prostitutes out of the way to try and take their customer.
Yeah.
You know, the desperation, the
whipping
need.
sequence.
Yeah, where she's just...
Oh my God.
She's so desperate. Like, all of the other guys have already found their... You know, the prostitute, and the one guy that like nobody wants to really because he likes to get beaten and whipped.
Yeah,
she's like, yeah, come on then.
But this guy had turned up like 3 times in the movie, hadn't he?
Yeah.
Where we were told by Detlev, oh yeah, he just likes to be whipped. He's okay. He's fine. And then we see him later again, and Christiane is telling him to get lost. But then she goes back with him, and she's just whipping like hell so that she can get this money, so that she can score one more heroin hit. And she goes there, and we see the addict from earlier on in the movie kind of leap into the stall while she's
prepping.
Yeah. And it's such a scary sight because he looks half dead and sores all over his face and stuff. And he grabs her needle and he goes out and he just injects himself in the neck.
Ugh. And it's bloody. He's pockmarked. It's ugly. He feels so aggressive and angry.
And he just turns to her and he goes, yeah, thanks for the hit.
Yeah.
And throws her the needle. And it was the shot after, I can believe it, the shot after where she's trying to
clean the needle in the flushing toilet. Oh, God, the desperation is so bad. It makes your skin crawl watching this because you feel for her. And you're like, this is a 14-year-old girl whose life is in tatters now. Like, can she be saved?
But, hey, the movie ends on a good turning point, I suppose. It ends with a narration from her saying that she would leave for Hamburg for 18 months and she would get clean. Yay!
I don't think the film is telling me the truth, Iain.
I don't think so, man. It's fucking, like I said, I've seen fucking Trainspotting. They made a Trainspotting 2. Yeah. Surprised they didn't make a Christiane F2.
Man, what were your favourite scenes from Christiane F?
Oh, man, like, whoo. I'm just going to say now, like, not many of the heroin usage scenes. You know, there was it like, I liked the way the film was shot and framed and the camera was used and the guerrilla style and just the real locations. It just felt so dirty and horrible and just disgusting. Like we said, that sequence with her using the needle trying to clean out in the flushing toilet. Oh my fucking God. I love the David Bowie sequence. I loved how that mixed in with the AC/DC concert. The fact that they had an AC/DC concert footage to go with. That's amazing as well. But just how magical that would have been. You know, like to see David Bowie in concert at such a young age singing songs when you're so influential as well and you're looking up to him, and this is like, to some people it's a god. Seeing these people in person is like seeing God himself, and so it's really eye-opening for kids. I love the sequence where they are running around kind of like the shopping mall section and you've got David Bowie's Heroes playing, and just loved the group shot of how happy all the friends were together before they were going to go off and score, and running up onto the rooftop and smoking a cigarette until early hours of the morning. Who hasn't been there, been out clubbing and stayed out all night? I even liked it when they did David Bowie's Heroes in German.
Yes.
That was quite amazing. I gotta love the development of Natja Brunckhorst throughout the movie. The actress was fucking amazing. I don't believe it's fair that we live in a world that more people aren't talking about this girl's performance. I know it's risky because she was only 13, and I know it's risky because of the certain things that they put her in, but Jesus Christ, you've got actresses nowadays who have all the time in the world, preparations, safety measures, everything that they have in place to try and pull off just one performance, and this girl just did it on her own. Like Sigourney Weaver and then this girl, like, Jesus, like Julianne Moore and fucking, you know, like this girl, you know, fucking, what's the girl from Silence of the Lambs called again?
Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster, then this girl, like.
Yeah, she was really good. And the fact that none of the actors in this film are actors.
No.
You know, they were all just picked because they, you know, the parents gave them permission to be in a film like this.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's true.
I don't even know if that's possible.
I love that all of the casting, I think, in this film was to perfection. They got everyone just right. And the fact that none of them are actors meant they all acted kind of naturally.
Yeah.
And that added to the authenticity of the documentary kind of filmmaking style. So it all blended together that made you feel like what you were watching was real life.
But because it felt more real life, made it more cringy and kind of awkward because you're sat there just like, this is really happening.
Yeah.
I did say that at the same time, I love the fact that they used footage from Night of the Living Dead in the cinema sequence in the club, because once again, low budget movie, guerrilla director, first time getting actors in who weren't really actors to do this movie. Bravo.
Yeah. I feel like saying I don't have a favorite scene
Because the whole
because
film.
the whole film
yeah.
is mesmerizing from start to finish, and it is an uncomfortable watch. It is not a film that you can just slap on in the middle of the afternoon. It's like, oh, this will be fun, like, because it's not.
It's not my girl, for fuck's sake.
Right. So but the whole film was really well shot. Like, they didn't have studio lighting, so again it all feels natural, but the composition and the lighting that they do utilize is really effective. The film never feels flat. It always feels moody, and
Yeah.
it always feels freaking sad. Like, the Bowie music is great, but the actual film score itself is also really quite sad. It's kind of leading you down and down and down as the characters do. I love the makeup work. It felt like, but considering they're using real like addicts in the background, and then you've got the made up ones.
Yeah.
Like, only sometimes I think that the bags on her eyes were a bit too much.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
but otherwise, like, flawless work in almost every department. But I guess one of my lasting shots probably just going to be Babsy in the bathtub with the bubbles and the cake and the cigarette. I'm like, proper little madam. And so I was quite upset when we see the newspaper article and she was the one to go. And in the real life, when the real person Babsy did die at that age, that was a headline, front news. It shook the world. That was the alarm bell that woke everybody up to go, oh my God, what's going on in Berlin right now?
Yeah.
Ian, do you recommend?
I massively recommend this movie. I think it's absolutely amazing. It's up there. Like, you have kids from, 1991, 1992 in America. You have The Basketball Diaries with Leonardo DiCaprio. You have fucking Trainspotting with Ewan McGregor. You know, was it Danny Boyle? And then you've got Christiane F. And this one obviously comes out before all of those, really. You know, this movie... I'm kind of glad I never watched this movie as a kid, because I think my whole perspective on film would have absolutely changed. Because at this point, at 13, I was watching horror movies thinking that was probably the scariest thing I'd ever see in real life. No, Ian. No, you hadn't seen Christiane F. up to that point. I'm also kind of glad that the only heroine I ever had in my life when I was a kid was Red Sonja. So, this movie, if you've never seen it, and you were ever a 13-year-old, you owe it to yourself to watch this movie to see what other people might have been going through and how your life might have turned out if you had ever been in this kind of era or area, you know, with this stuff coming out. The acting is amazing. The camera work is amazing. The lighting is amazing. The music is amazing. It's one of those absolutely great movies that makes you look at other shit movies and go, that's why those movies are shit. Because this one is so good. And this one is so good.
Yes, definitely going to be recommending Christiane F. As this is a must-watch. This is a raw, an unflinching delve into teen drug culture in the 1970s that leaves little to the imagination and highlights the depression as events spiral into darker places, feeding that addiction as drugs take over their lives. It's sad, it's horrifying, it's so bleak, and thanks to some excellent cinematography and fantastic acting, it feels authentic and natural. And by using the real locations with real afflicted extras, it brings a strong dose of reality to this very real story. And having the cast be at the age of their real-life characters and without any film history, they were so convincing and so believable that you'll form an emotional attachment to them. Perfect casting, brilliant acting, stunning photography, great music, and the Bowie tracks complement it well along with the minimal soundtrack. This isn't a film everyone would choose to watch. It's a hard going, and it's challenging, and it's a cult classic. It is a must watch. This isn't a story, it's an explosion! Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.